Welcome to Code Creative. I'm Travis Tolson.
And I'm the reason we're starting late. I needed my coffee, man. It was essential.
Well, we're here now, and that's what counts.
That is correct. Hey, if Earl can be late sometimes on his Twitch stream, we're allowed to be 3 minutes late. But okay, so we're jumping back into
I don't know if we're late too much, we might get fired from this. They might stop paying us.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And this is such a substantial part of our household income, But anyway, okay, so tonight, last time we were messing around with the play ship and we were having some issues with the spinning the ship and getting the coordinates right. And you went back and did some work with that. So why don't you explain a little bit about it's working now, right? Right?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
So
Okay.
it should, in theory, be working. I can't remember if I actually tested it or not because, we had some time off there and
we're testing in production. That's
memory's not working. So maybe.
Well, why don't you explain a little bit about we'll test it and make sure it works and then maybe explain how it works.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that we would start with testing to see if it's actually working the way I think it is. And then we will go from there.
That sounds good.
All right. So let's go to Mothership.
We can't see.
And we'll go to game commands. And we're going to have to do that thing where we kind of...
Are you supposed to be sharing your screen? Because you're not right now.
Oh, I'm not?
I mean, you have a very pretty face, but,
There we go. How's that?
There you go.
All right. So I've got the flow designer open. I got the join game and the play ship both open. We'll have to do this one first. All right. So first we'll have Abel join the game. And that's all we need for this one. So then we'll test, and I'll select this one, and we'll run it.
I thought you fixed that, so we saw something that was not the created by date.
No, I talked about needing to, but I haven't done it yet.
That's going to be the thing we talk about needing to do until we're absolutely done with the game engine. So was our test show.
Some dude. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce that. But hello and welcome. Let's see. All right, so we've got our game created.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we'll create the next command, which will be some doo-doo water. Thank you for clarifying.
Interesting choice.
All right, so then we'll do place ship.
Mm-hmm.
Place that Death Star at the 0, coordinate in the downward direction. And oops, I have to submit it first. All right, so now we've got our place ship command in place, and I'll switch over and we'll test it. And that's going to be our second one. And if this works, we should end up with a boat. Okay, it has finished. All right, so it is occupying 4 cells, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. So that's what I would expect. We have our ship placed. And we intentionally left the coordinate X and coordinate Y off for now. We may end up having to change that later. Okay. So next, let's try to move it. We'll do another place ship command for able. Same ship, but we'll move it to 5, 5, and we'll rotate it in the up direction instead. And submit. And then we'll test that new one. And reload. Okay, so now we are, and I placed this at what? 5, 5. So it should be at 5, 5, 5, 4. So that's going to be back 4, 4, and 4, 5. I think that's right. So, like, if I were looking at this, um, so if I placed it at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4. Yeah, that's right. So that's correct. That's in the spot that that we expected.
So it worked.
It worked.
Nice.
Um,
Okay, so since the being able to place the ship, does that test also work for rotating an existing ship, or is that something we need to do?
so it seems to be working for rotating because I did it in the down direction. I did it in the up direction. So let me put it in the same spot again. So we'll put it in 5, 5 again, but we'll just rotate it. Rotate it to the left direction. And then we'll execute that one. Can't wait till we put a trigger on this so that it just automatically happens instead of having to click a bunch of extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Reload. 5, 5 up. All right, so it's going to be in the 5, 5 cell. Yeah, see how it's moved it to the 6 positions?
Yeah.
4, 5. All right, I think this is working. It's
It looks like it's working.
it's a little bit. It's a little tough for me to visualize it having to do this through form submissions and such, but I think it's working. And again, I took this code from my last working version, so I've got a pretty good. I'm fairly confident that this is working correctly.
Okay. So what does that look like in Flow Designer for somebody that was looking to recreate this?
All right, so
Okay.
basically, it's exactly what we had set up before. There's not really much of a difference. But essentially, what I did was what we were talking about last time. You got your direction, your x offset, your y offset, your x coordinate, your y coordinate.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I used a switch statement so that depending on whether this is rotated in the up, down, left, or right position, it'll run a calculation to determine where the x coordinate or the y coordinate should be. So it's similar script for both of them. But essentially, you start with your y coordinate or your x coordinate, depending on which orientation it's in, and then you will add or subtract the offset or the x offset, again, depending on the orientation. So the scripts we were working on last time were close, but this just kind of finished off in that direction, and there's comments in it. So that is how that one ended up working out. Like I said, really just had to change a couple of the scripts to it to get it working. That was the only change that I made. So with that, I do actually need to get another player in this game. So ready. And we'll do the join game for him. He's just joining a little late. So that gives us 2 players on the game now. And we are all set. All right. So next up, we have to create the take turn command so that people can actually start firing upon the boat. So essentially, what we have so far, and this is not our actual game, this is somebody else's variation of it in JavaScript. But basically, you place your ships, and then once everybody is placed, you can start the game. So now we need to create the handler for the commands where you actually take the shot. Does it hit? Does it miss? And essentially, the flow logic is. I think I might still have my old documentation on this one. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. Command join game. Let's play ships. Let's see. Is that it? All right. Nope, I didn't include it in there. Oh well. Basically, the sequence of events here is that when you click on a particular spot, first we have to determine if it is a hit or a miss. If it's a hit, then we have to determine if that particular ship was sunk. If the ship that was hit was sunk. If that ship was sunk, then we have to determine if there are any ships remaining. Basically, did we meet the victory condition or not? Will it be too much to rebuild this page once Xanadu comes out?
I was waiting to have like a break in your explaining the process to post that. Trust me on this.
It's easier for me to just get distracted on my own.
Oh my gosh. Only one of us is allowed to have ADHD at a time, and like that's 99% of the time going to be me. All right. But this is a really excellent question that I have no idea about because I don't know how deep the changes go to UI Builder in Xanadu. That may be something we need to discuss with the awesome people that deal with UI Builder for ServiceNow.
I mean, from what I have seen in the changes, I don't suspect that anything will break it necessarily. Yeah, everything that I'm familiar with on it, it should still work the same. The Xanadu release is not like the gosh, what was it? Geneva to Helsinki on Service Portal. It's not one of those.
I wasn't even like officially in the industry at that point, but like there's enough of you jaded veterans that get the 1,000-yard stare going when you talk about that I know.
Back in my day. All right, so we're going to create a new subflow. It's not about breaking, it's about responsive design.
Hey, right? Isn't it like, didn't they turn on responsive design with Xanadu? I think that's what you had told me.
This is what I have heard.
Because I've had my head in the sand on things for the past couple of weeks. And if so, I was like, maybe I'll actually be okay with this now. I've been like on a crusade against UI Builder because of that. Maybe all my complaining about it got me what I wanted.
Actually, wait a second. I just realized There is a command that I was missing in between.
It's only responsive on brand new pages. Okay, so in UI Builder, this is a nice little side thing to know. It will be responsive. Hashtag safe harbor, because we always hashtag safe harbor. So if we want to use it for this app, you got to build a brand new page, which is great because we haven't built pages yet. So this will be like a new cool thing we could do that you couldn't do with your lab.
Yes. This one would be interesting to try and make responsive. I will say that much. So that would definitely add an additional challenge to it. Let's see, game command. Okay, so I forgot that we need the ready player command in first, not the take turn. So if you want to use this app, you gotta build a brand new page. Well, fortunately,
Well,
yeah.
that's what I have already covered that, sir.
I'm
You're catching up in the chat.
Yeah, I'm catching up to the chat. I'm lost in the sauce here.
That's my job. Your job is to do what you're doing.
Oh, well, I'll just go back to coding then.
Yeah. There you go. Some nights I'll code. Oh, I was told not to be mean to you. But that's like part of my job. I'm here to be entertaining.
All right, so we need to make our game command input.
Wait, did you start a new flow?
Yes.
We're not together tonight.
We are on
different
two
wavelengths.
completely separate channels right now.
Usually we're pretty in sync on this stuff.
So what I realized was that I was actually missing one command in between place ship and take turn, and that's the ready player. So we need one that actually marks the player as I'm done placing my ships and I'm ready to play.
If you don't call it Ready Player One, you're going to lose nerd points from me.
I can live with that.
Nerd points aren't important to you the way they are to me.
All right. So, as usual, we're going to use the same basic process that we have before. We're going to update our game command record.
I just want you to read what's on the screen because it's funny.
If you're not in sync,
does that mean you're in sync? Like in sync, like the boy band.
I can't handle you and Gabby in the same. I am broken again.
Anyway, okay, so we got to try and regroup. So you realized that there was a command in between placing the ship and starting the game that we needed to do. Now Gabby is cackling maniacally because she's thrown us off so much.
So basically, we have
to set the player to ready. So this should be a pretty simple thing, right?
Absolutely. This one should be dead simple because all I have to do is come here to the players table and mark them as ready. So this one should take no time at all. So first we update the game command to set it to in processing. Then I'm going to update let's see. Or no, I need to look up. Because I need to look up that player record. The Mothership player for the game that we're currently playing, which is on the game command record. So where the game is that one. And the player is it user? User. And the user is this guy, the guy that submitted the command. And we will fail on error on this one because it should find the person. And if it doesn't, we have a problem.
Player does not exist.
We're going to return only the first record because there should only be one. All right, so once we have that guy, then we have to update. Yes, JR, Flow Designer. Believe it or not, I actually like it.
Yeah, like I even learned to do Flow Designer on here, and it was actually pretty intuitive to pick up. At some point, I need to try connecting Flow Designer flows.
These are not the players you're looking for.
That should absolutely be the error message. Come on, it goes with the whole Star Wars vibe.
All right, so is ready, set to true. So we update the player record and we set is ready to true. Then, let's see, on the previous ones, we updated the command and then created the event. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the same pattern. Then we update our game command record and we change the state to success. And then we create a game event.
I'm loving the chat going on about is Flow Designer really low code? And it's kind of like UI Builder. It is sort of, maybe. Because
Yeah.
it is until you need anything that needs scripting or anything like that. That's why I'm really excited about the change that's coming. I don't know if this is Xanadu or not. They mentioned this at the CreatorCon keynote where like you get to see all of your stuff in code view.
Yeah, that game command. One of the things that I think is kind of neat about Flow Designer is that it can be made more low code, like by building up a library of subflows, by building up a library of activities, which was frowned upon for the old workflow engine. It was frowned upon to create custom activities. In Flow Designer, it's very well supported. And the more of them that you build out, the more you can abstract more complicated logic away and offer simpler activities up to folks.
Kind of like building out a library of script includes.
Integration Hub is a great example of it because creating a Twilio integration using Integration Hub, the Integration Hub spoke is just stupid easy. It takes so much of the complexity out of it.
We've got a lively chat tonight.
Where is it? Player joined.
Mr. Tomasi has joined us as well.
Created. I am missing a command in my list. So we're going to have to go edit my list of commands because I don't actually have. Join game, leave game, play ship, take turn. Yeah, I don't actually have it. So let's configure choices. And let's add set player ready.
Which player? The first one?
Well, we're not setting anybody ready yet. I was missing in the data model. I was missing the event and the command for actually doing this. So like there wouldn't have been any trigger for handling this.
Okay. I only asked because I was trying to get you to say player one. Because I'm stuck on that joke. See, the chat got my joke. Thank you, Gabby.
I am in work mode.
You are. Look at you. That's okay. One of us is. I'm drinking coffee out of a Star Wars mug and being happy about it.
Okay, then we jump back over here. Unfortunately, I think I have to like force save on this.
That
'Cause
became
otherwise,
really funny given you went the Star Wars direction with this too.
bugger.
Like the unknown force power. Force save.
I have to reopen it because it didn't pick up the new.
Is that an ongoing problem that you've seen in your use of Flow Designer
Game
that need to do
created
the
player
force
joint.
save?
Still didn't pick it up. All right, well, let's reload the whole page. So this is kind of a thing. It's not necessarily unique to Flow Designer. It's more of a Next Experience thing. Next Experience is very cache happy. Like so much so that when you're building next experiences, and we'll see this in a future episode, like there are special commands, there are special buttons and such that you can click in the next experience designer to force clear the caches out. It likes to store the values on the client side and ignore the fact that the server data may have changed. See, now we got player ready. Yes, when in doubt, hard refresh and clear the cache.
That's for
Aggressively
UI
clear
Builder
the
though,
cache.
not Flow Designer.
No, yeah, that's next experience stuff. Which, of course, this is built in next experience stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it?
I think just about all the new products are.
Oh.
Yes, the clear UI builder cache is great.
There's a button for it? Nice.
Yes. So some of the data gets cached in IndexedDB. And if there wasn't a button to clear some of that stuff out, you would have to go into the web inspector and dive into the application tab and go all the way down into a very specific line item for IndexedDB in order to clear it out, which is super annoying. Let's see. Event. I got distracted again. Game command. We did that. I do want the player in the event.
Mr. Tomasi notes that cache is good for performance, but not if you have to reload the page. You want to think about your data model before doing the logic as much as possible anyway. That's one thing I love about the way you've set this up is you have the entire data model all mapped out. So we know exactly where we're going. It's just a matter of creating the pieces and snapping it together. We can make sure we're not adding unnecessary steps, as it were, for the code to do.
Game, player, game command, event. Yeah, okay, I got them all. All right, so this will create our game event record, and this should complete this particular subflow. So basically, we will mark the game command as in processing. We will look up the player record for the person that issued the command. We will then set that record to is ready. We will then update the game command record to being successful. And then we will create a game event record, which will inform all of the players in their respective UIs that some state about the game has changed. And we're going to pretend that no errors exist because it gets us to the UIs faster. But if I was doing this a little more thoroughly, I'd have an error handler in here that would update the game command record to error state and stuff like that. Let me test this before I publish it. So to test this, we'll go back to the game, issue a new game command, and we'll set the player ready. We'll set able tutor ready. And then this one. Run test. And if it works, we should get a new event for player ready. Let's sort this. There we go. That's better. I want it in the other direction. We're going to do it to this one too. Yeah, I'll do those in reverse order. All right, so we got our player ready event, and Able Tutor was marked as ready. So then we'll do the same thing for system administrator. And set player ready, submit. And because we have some folks joining that may not have seen some of the earlier episodes, you'll note that I'm not actually using any triggers. I'm doing everything through subflows right now. And basically, that's because we want to process these commands in the order that they're created. And if I used a flow on the game command table to just fire whenever a new record was created, those could get out of order very quickly. And that was a lesson learned from the last version of this game. Set player ready.
So this isn't exactly a one-for-one rebuilding of what you used in your lab. This is kind of, like you've said before, Mothership
Yeah.
2.0.
Yeah. There's I'm taking some lessons learned and trying to make some improvements to the game as I go, which could work out really, really well, or could throw some monkey wrenches into the system when we get to the UI side. It's going to be fun to find out either way, though.
You know whose problem that is?
Future Travis.
Future Travis's problem. That's right.
All right. So our player ready is working correctly. We're getting our game commands. Those are being marked as successful. Our players are ready, and our event is created. So we are good to go here. All right. So then the next one is going to be our take turn. So we'll go back to Workflow Studio. I really should be giving these descriptions, but I'm not going to. All right. So once again, we're going to pass in our game command as the input. And that is mandatory. Subflows first. I have spoken.
I just realized he's making making a joke on the spoke. Like, I don't know. That's what I thought.
It's a flow designer pun.
Yes. It took me a minute.
Okay, so as with our other ones, our first update is going to be updating the game command, and we want to set the state to processing. Do as I say, not as I do. Descriptions are for future Travis, and we hate that guy. We do hate that guy.
Yeah, I'm sitting here agreeing with this, and I'm like, crap, we'll forget about this, then be like, you know what? I think Sarah needs to take the reins tonight, and then it'll be future Sarah's problem.
That's a great idea.
No, that is not a great idea.
No, I like this idea. I mess it up, and then you have to fix it. This is great.
Okay, I don't think I ever want to have to troubleshoot something that broke.
All right, let's see. So first I have to update the game command record. Now, basically what we're going to have on this one is we're going to have a coordinate X and a coordinate Y and a player. So the player is taking a shot at a specific game cell given by the coordinate X and coordinate Y. And we need to determine first, is that a hit? So in order to do that, of course, we've got our game cells table. So we need to look up the other player. Hmm. So I need to look up a game cell with that X and that Y. And I have to make sure I have the X and Y right because I've done row and column and X and Y. So I've confused all the jargon. And then where the player is not the person that submitted it.
That's a
So we're
lot of
going to do a
ifs.
lookup. And I'm going to look up a game. No, I thought it was game cell, not ship cell. Game cell. All right. In the game issued by the command, and the player is not this guy. So we want the opponent's game cells. Did I hit the opponent's game cells? And let's see. X would be column. And row
Be your Y.
will be Y.
Yeah.
I hate it when it doesn't do the pill names. It really bothers me. But I think if I toggle it, I think it comes back.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah, see, it kind of
must be a
fixes it.
bug.
Okay, return only the first record. We do not want to fail on error here. Okay. So now we need to determine if this is going to be a hit. Which means I'm going to have to do some logic similar to what we did back here.
I want you to know that we in the chat talking about future Travis and me fixing your code. Like I mentioned, how I would absolutely deserve that for all the weird stuff I've brought you broken over the years. And then
You and Mia are the two people that bring me the weirdest problems.
so then I asked, raise your hand if you've ever personally victimized Travis Tolson. There's a good many of us that have victimized you with our code situations.
The AJB is calling me out, and the AJB is correct. And this has been pointed out to me in a couple of episodes now that a lot of these lookups and such sound frighteningly like something that should be a subflow. And you're absolutely right. And if I was more sensible about this, these things would have been subflows as well. And
But they're not.
but they're not. Those were future Travis's problem, and future Travis is now redoing the same logic over and over again.
So how would we instead do that better? Explain
Well,
that process
so
to
for
me.
example, in a lot of these, I have to do an update to set the state to processing. I could probably simplify this whole thing by creating some kind of action or some kind of subflow that all I pass in is the game command. So then instead of having to create the update and then drag the game command over and in and then select state and then select processing, instead, all I'd have to do is add my subflow and drop the game command on it. And there's probably some of these other things that are repeatable processes. It might even be possible to take, for example, I might be able to create a subflow that handles this, probably not the game event record, but basically I would be able to pass a dynamic subflow into the subflow.
And so you would be writing the logic once. Almost,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would have a subflow that would do this part. It would accept a dynamic subflow that I would write, which would cover the middle. And then it would do the updating the game command to success at the end. Does that
So
make sense?
yeah, so the actual number of flows you would need to build would be shorter. It's almost like having like a ng repeat instead of having to manually put all the different things in there or something like that.
Yeah, kind of. So there are definitely things I could have done to have made more reusable logic in this and kind of simplified the process. And the added advantage is that if I ever had to change that logic, so like let's say that I needed to add some additional information to this here. Well, if I do that right now, I would have to change that in every single subflow that I've done. I'd have to go through each of them and update it. Whereas if I had made that a subflow, I'd only have to change it in one spot.
That's the way to do it.
That right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way to do it.
Yep. That applies in so many places in this platform. Like, it's the reason we do SAS variables in our service portal themes, because you can write that hex code once and then never have to write it again.
Mm-hmm. So
anytime you can save yourself time by making your code dynamic, it's a beautiful thing.
it's not all right. So if the error message on this lookup is not empty, then we have a hit. And then
I'm pointing out, and after all that conversation, I just realized that the chat wasn't scrolling for me, but I just saw Jace's comment. Perfect is the enemy of good.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in order to prevent some of the nested if in order to prevent some of the nested if logic, I'm going to switch this. I'm going to go is miss, because if it's a miss, then I can just escape early. If it's a miss, then I just need to create a game command. And like this is a great example of where the subflow would have been really, really helpful. So what am I doing here? I'm sorry, I didn't want to create a game command. We'll do it on the event. Because what I need to do is update the game command. Give me just a second.
No.
And I'll get back to what I was saying. State is success. All right, so at this point, I need to create an event. Create the event record. So in this process, what do I have to do? Well, first I have to assign it to the game from the game command. Then I have to map the player. Which player did it come from? Then
We're basically pinpointing down, right? You've got the game, the player, and what else do you need to do? The actual.
So the game and the player are the big ones for this one. Oh, game command.
Mm-hmm.
You see how I'm having to try to remember which ones I map from the game command?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be really easy if I could just pass the game command to a subflow and just have it process those things, and then I append the remaining ones after the fact.
Dang it, Past Travis.
Right. If this were a subflow, I could just drag the game command on and it would automatically map game, player, game command, and then I could just worry about the things that were specific to this particular event.
That's why that approach is so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we don't like future, Travis, but the future is now thanks to science.
Okay, so coordinate X.
You're not even going to acknowledge my pop culture reference.
The future is now thanks to science.
There you go.
Sorry, I got lost in coordinate X and coordinate Y. Event is going to be turn taken. And the hit marker will be a miss. And then the last step here is going to be, oh, not that. And subflow. So if we miss, we update the game command. We create our game event record recording that a miss has occurred. And then we end the subflow. And that's what I meant by we could escape it early. So instead of having to do a else and then nesting a bunch of logic, I can keep the logic a little more flat.
Yep. Okay.
So to test this real quick, I'll fire on one that I know is definitely a miss.
Like 10-10 or whatever.
We'll have, actually, I can have Abel take the turn because literally anything I shoot at should be a miss for Abel because the other guy hasn't placed any ships.
Well, that's not very fair.
This one, run test. Reload form. Womp womp. Nothing happened. All right, so let's take a look at that. Let's see what happened.
If it's miss, it didn't. It looks like it didn't see it as a miss.
Evaluated false. So let's see. Error message, no record found. Oh, I see the problem.
What's the problem?
If the error message is going to be no record found. So it won't be empty if it's a miss. I had my logic reversed. So now if I test it,
It's going to work this time. I'm optimistic.
reload, negative. Let's see what happened this time.
Okay, so it evaluated to true. I love this. I wish everything I did in ServiceNow gave me this whole. This is what happened when you did this.
I know what the problem is.
What's the problem?
See how the game is empty?
Mm-hmm. Now, why is the game empty, do you think?
Okay.
Is there somewhere in the logic we were supposed to say to establish what the game was?
When I create my game event record, I'm binding the game to the wrong data pill. I'm binding it to the game command.
Instead of the game actual game record.
Right. So it's passing the wrong sys-ID, which again, if this was a subflow, it would already be working and I could just pass it in and that error would not have happened.
So if you're watching this later and you are trying to replicate this, the answer is to not do exactly what we have done here and instead create a dynamic subflow, which next time we may have to go back and just show what that looks like and how that would behave.
There we go. Now it's on the correct one. Turn taken, 0-0, miss. So no boats were hit. I do want to try one more. I'm going to try firing on 5-5 by Able Tutor. Able Tutor should not get a hit at 5-5 because that's his boat. So take turn. Firing on 5-5. We should get a miss.
It'll work this time.
Miss. Good. Nope, no friendly fire. So he's not going to hit his own boat. So that's working. All right. So now that we have that working, now we know it's a hit. So now we need to determine if the boat is sunk. So we're going to do a lookup.
Jason's chomping at the bit to get to the UI part of this. He asked if the game engine was done. Nope.
No, we're getting there. We're getting closer. It's probably going to take us a few more episodes before we actually get to the UI side, sadly.
That's okay, UI Builder.
Unless I start working on stuff behind the scenes.
Which is an option you could choose.
Let's see. Do I want to look up one record or multiple record? We'll just look up one record because that'll be faster. So
after you put together this one where we determine if the ship is sunk, we'll go over what commands that we have still to put together for the game engine. I know we need to tie everything together with triggers and stuff.
Yeah.
So the game can be triggered.
Player is not this player. And so if we got a hit on the game cell, where are you, game cell record? So if we got a hit on this particular game cell, then a ship is going to be hit. So now what we want to do is we want to look up for this game and the opponent. We want a game cell with that ship in it. And let me think about this real quick. I might need to change this up a bit. If miss, we have to update that record first, then look up. Yeah. Okay. So we'll handle that in just a second. So I want to look up that ship where the hit marker is none. We'll go with none because none is the default on those. So basically, I want to look up if there are any cells that have not been hit for that ship. If I find one record where if I find one where it hasn't been hit, then it's not sunk. All right, but I have to do something before that because I have to update that game cell record. I have to update this game cell record to make the hit marker a hit. Because otherwise, when we look it up, the one that we just hit won't be recorded as being hit.
Yep. And that way we make sure the game actually progresses.
Right. So if
was asked in the chat, like what happens if you hit the same ship in the same location? Are we putting something in there that will make it so that somebody can't try to hit the same location twice?
So I'm not putting that logic server side right now, but that logic will be embedded in the client side. So I'm going to kind of treat it as if you're dumb enough to shoot the same location twice, like the UI will prevent you. If you're dumb enough to try to hack the game so that you can hit the same spot twice, that's on you. Uh, it'll still count as a hit. It'll record it as a hit again, is what the server side will do. And you'll just end up losing your turn. So, speaking of which, I might need to. Yeah, we'll probably need that logic in there too. That's probably why I had it nested before.
Hey, just saying. Sharon Barnes says future Travis can use Flow Designer's ability to select several actions in a flow to create a subflow. That might be future Sarah doing that.
Let's see. So the one aspect of this that I am missing right now is that technically I also have to update the current turn for. That's one of the things I'm missing right now is I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to update the current turn for. I may have to rework this logic to nest it so that I'm not having to repeat a bunch of stuff, or I could subflow it and then it wouldn't matter if I had to repeat it. Let's see. It is 9:30 right now. So let's say we wrap this one up.
Okay.
And I'll do a little bit of thinking offline on whether I want to nest this, subflow it, or how I want to handle this. And then next time I'll come back with a slightly better plan on this one, and we should be able to wrap this one up next time.
That sounds good. But we've made good progress tonight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Would you like to give us a summary? Because you were like deep in the thing tonight. We had really active chat and it was very distracting. So why don't you give us a summary of what we actually accomplished tonight? And then we'll talk a little bit about like where we're at overall and what we need to do left.
No.
But really? No, you don't get to do that.
All right. So this evening, we tested our play ship command and confirmed that it is now working successfully. I hijacked my old logic because I did find the old Git repository and I pulled the old logic off of that Git repo and plugged it in, and it worked with the flow that we had made last time. So we got that working. Then we came in and created the ready player, which allows us to allows our players to say, "Hey, I'm done placing my ships and I'm ready to start the game." And then we started on the take turn, and I got very confused, and we decided that I would figure out what I wanted to do about this for next time and come back with a better plan for finishing this up next time.
So we're not going to just like wild west code it and, just whatever.
I mean, it's kind of what we were doing, and then I hit a wall, and it's 9:30, and I didn't feel like keeping on going.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
yeah.
We're old. We need sleep.
Next time on Code Creative Live.
But okay, so that is what we will do. We've made good progress. We will continue to work on the game engine. And hopefully within the next few sessions, we can get to that point where we are starting to work on the actual UI.
Let's see. Take turn, ready player. Okay, so it does appear to have captured the take turn stuff without publishing. completed. Why is play? Oh, because I already ready player command. Started take turn command. It really wants that cross scope privilege, so I'm going to let it have it. I don't know why though.
I hate cross-scope privileges.
I am in that application scope. I don't know. What? Wait, what? Default global? Do I want to know why? I have a default global update set that's making me very nervous. It doesn't have.
What?
I don't know. It doesn't look like it's appending to that one. What is this update set? Default global. How does it have the global update set selected under the Mothership application scope? That's confusing. I don't know why. Hopefully it's capturing all the updates correctly and not breaking things behind the scenes on me. Everything seems to be in the correct application scope, but the update set's looking kind of janky right now. So that's all right. I'll figure it out. Yeah, basically my application scope is Mothership do, and my update set is default global. So I've got a scoped application, but a global update set. I don't know, man. I didn't think that was possible, but here we are.
Well, best way to find out if something weird or strange is going to happen in your instance is to do it live.
So next time on Code Creative Live, I'm going to cry because my PDI burned to the ground, and the Git repo is for some reason borked. And it's funny because like update set default, you'd think I might have, I don't know. Oh no. Okay, that was something else. Okay, never mind. I have no idea what I'm doing. That's okay. I'll figure it out next time.
Future Travis's problem. I need to make that one of our little tickers.
I'm going to have a hard time falling asleep tonight with that staring at me. I hate it when update set issues creep in like that. It's super confusing and stressful. But it's all right. This is not the first time we've dealt with weird update set issues, so creating problems for exactly. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
Yep, we made some good progress, and we'll just keep working at it because, like, I'm dying to see you put together the UI.
If we just close our eyes and pretend the update sets aren't a problem, they're not a problem.
There you go. But then your PDI gets blown off, and then you have to like redo things, and it's a situation. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good night, and hope to see you next time.